All right, in this video, we're going to talk about review for section 3A. There are two parts to this. The first part will deal with percentages. The second part will deal with ratios. But in part one, we're going to be dealing with percentages. Now, the word percent means per 100 or divided by 100. Here we use the symbol, which is the percent sign that you see here, as shorthand for the word percent. For example, we read this, the 50 with the percent sign as 50%, and its meaning is going to be this. 50% means 50 over 100 because we take that number, divide that by 100. So 50 divided by 100 as a decimal will be 0.5. So in general, for a number P percent means P over 100. So for example, if I have 100%, that's going to be 100 over 100, which simplifies to 1. Then for 200%, that means 200 divided by 100, or 2. 350% means 350 divided by 100, which is, as a decimal, 3.5. Note that multiplying a number by 100 does not change its value, because 100% is just another way of writing the number 1. For example, multiplying 1.25 by 100 gives this. 1.25% times 100%, 1.25 times 100% would be 125%. That is, 125% is just another way of writing 1.25. So these basic ideas lead to the following rules for converting between percentages and decimals or common fractions, as you see over here. To convert a percent to a common fraction, we just replace the percent sign or the percent symbol with division by 100 and simplify that fraction if necessary. An example of that would be 25%. We take the 25, place that over 100 because percent means per 100. So 25 over 100, if we reduce that in simplest form by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 25, you'll get 1/4. And then to convert a percentage to a decimal, we drop the percent sign and divide by 100, which is equivalent to moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. So again, 25%, that would be 25 divided by 100. If you do that in the calculator, you'll get 0.25 as a decimal. Or drop the percent sign. The decimal point is understood to be behind the last digit in the whole number. You'll move that decimal point 2 places to the left to get 0.25. And then to convert a decimal to a percentage, you just multiply by 100, which is equivalent to moving the decimal point 2 places to the right, and then include the percent symbol, like 0.43. Well, that's 43 over 100 because 0.43, the two numbers after the decimal point, so we have a 1 with 2 zeros behind it in the denominator. So it'll be 43 over 100, which is, of course, 43%. Or you can just simply move that decimal point in the 0.43 2 places to the right. You'll end up with 43%. And then to convert a common fraction to a percent, you first convert the common fraction to decimal form and then, using a calculator if necessary, and then convert that decimal to a percent, like 1/5. If we do 1 divided by 5, you'll get 0.2. Convert 0.2 to a percent, we can multiply by 100 or move the decimal point 2 places to the right to get 20%. Okay. Now let's look at some examples of this. Here we're going to express the following number as a decimal and as a percentage, like 2/5. All right, let's convert 2/5 to a decimal. That's going to be numerator divided by the denominator. So 2 divided by 5 will give you the decimal of 0.4. Now, as a percentage, you can take 0.4 and just simply multiply by 100 and include the percent sign. That would give you 40%. So 2/5 as a decimal will be 0.4. 0.4 as a percentage will be 40%. Okay. Now here we want to express this percentage as a reduced fraction and as a decimal. Here's 90%. 90%, we take that 90, that'll go in the numerator. Of course, percent means per 100, so that means 90 divided by 100. And let's write this as a fraction in simplest form. Here we can divide the numerator and the denominator by the largest number that goes into 90 and 100. That'll have to be 10. So 10 goes into 99 times, 10 goes to 110 times. So that's a fraction in simplest form. 90% would be 9/10. And also 90% as a decimal. Well, if I take that 90 and divide that by 100, that would be 0.9. Because I'm changing the percent to a decimal, I can just simply divide this 90 by 100. Okay. Let's say we want to express this given decimal as a percentage and a reduced fraction. 0.80. Well, let's start with the percentage by just multiplying by 100. That would give us the percent. 0.80 times 100. That would give us 80. And we do include the percent sign. So 0.80 as a percent would be 80%. And then as a reduced fraction, the 80 will go in the numerator. The two numbers after the decimal point. So I know in the denominator, I need a 1 with 2 zeros behind it. So here, this will be 80 over 100. Now I need to reduce that by dividing the numerator and the denominator by the largest number that goes into 80 and 100. In this case, it's going to be 20. So 20 goes into 80 4 times, 20 goes into 100 5 times. So 4/5 will be the reduced fraction for 0.80. All right, so here we got 0.96. We want to express that as a percentage and as a reduced fraction as well. Well, 90.96. Okay, as a percent, we take 0.96 times 100. That gives us 96. So it'll be 96% for the decimal of 0.96. And then as a reduced fraction, well, let's put the 96 in the numerator. There are two numbers after the decimal point. So that means the denominator will have a 1 with 2 zeros. So it'll be 96 over 100. Okay. Now we need to find the largest number that goes into 96 and 100. In this case, this will have to be, I'm going to say 4. And then 96 divided by 4, 4 goes into 96 24 times. And 4 goes into 125 times. So 0.96 as a fraction in simplest form would be 24/25. Okay. All right, number 5 would be 380%. And we want to express this percentage as a reduced fraction and a decimal. Well, 380%. The 380 goes in the numerator. And then we do the percent as per 100. That means the 100 goes in the denominator. Now we need to reduce this in simplest form. Okay. The largest number that goes into 380 and 100 will have to be 20. So 20 goes into 380, let's say 19 times. And 20 goes into 105 times. And I will leave this as a simplified improper fraction of 19/5. And then 380% as a decimal. Well, of course, here we just take the 380 and divide that by 100, which is the same as moving the decimal point 2 places to the left and dropping the percent sign. So 380% as a decimal would be 3.8. Okay. All right, number 6. Let's say we got 1/3, and we want to express this fraction as a decimal and a percent. Now, let's see what's going to happen when we do 1 divided by 3 in the calculator. This is what you're going to get. It's actually a repeating decimal. Now, the problem, in this case, they're going to ask you to round to so many decimal places. In this case, they're asking me to round to 4 decimal places. Okay? So it'll be 0.3333. So 1/3 as a decimal would be 0.3333. All right, now as a percent, in this case, they're going to ask for, I'm not sure how many decimal places they want. They want you to round to 2 decimal places in this case for the final answer. Okay. Let's see, 1/3 as a decimal. We know we got to multiply by 100. So this is 100 over 1 times 1/3. That would be 100 over 3. And 100 over 3. Here are the 2 decimal places. That would be 33.33. And we include the percent sign. Okay. 33.33%. And the same holds true for number 7 here. We got a fraction of 5/6. We want to express that as a decimal and as a percentage. All right, so the 5/6, if I just do 5 divided by 6 on the calculator, you're going to get 0.8, and the 3 repeats. And let's say here we want to round to, let's say the 2 decimal places. So 0.833 to 2 decimal places will be 0.83. All right, 0.83. And now we want to convert 5/6 to a percent. Well, let's take that 5/6 and multiply by 100. And I'm going to treat 100 as 100 over 1. So 100 times 5 will be 500. Over 1 times 6 will be 6. And then convert that to a decimal. Round it to, let's say, 2 decimal places. So 500 divided by 6 will end up being 83 point, let's say, 33. And do pay close attention to how many decimal places that they ask for in the answer. All right, problem number 8. Let's say we want to express that given decimal as a percentage and as a reduced fraction. In this case, we got 1.35. 1.35. Let's start with a percentage. Now you can do 1.35 in the calculator and multiply that by 100. You'll see you'll end up getting 135%. Or just move the decimal point 2 places to the right and include that percent sign. And what about as a reduced fraction? Well, I'm going to bring over the 1. The 35 is after the decimal point that has to go in the numerator. There are 2 numbers after the decimal point, so 1 with 2 zeros goes in the denominator. Okay. Now I'm going to reduce that that 35 over 100 by finding the largest number that goes into 35 and 100. Must be 5. So I'm going to bring this 1 over. 5 goes into 35 7 times. 5 over 5 into 100 will go 20 times. But I think they want this as an improper fraction. So to convert 1 7/20 to an improper fraction, I'll multiply 20 times 1, which is 20, times the 7. Plus 7, which is 27 over 20. So as a reduced fraction, will be 27 over 20. They don't want it as a mixed number. Okay. The next one, take that decimal of 2.54, convert it to a percent, and as a reduced fraction as well. Well, 2.54 as a percent, we just simply take 2.54 multiplied by 100. That would give us 254, and that would be a percent. Just like we did here. Now for the 2.54 as a fraction in simplest form, reduced, bring this 2 over, that 56 goes in the numerator, the 2 digits after the decimal point. So it's got to be 100. And let me reduce 56 over 100 by dividing the numerator and the denominator, I'll say by 4, because I want the largest number that goes into 56 and 100. Bring this 2 over, 4 goes into 56 14 times, 4 goes into 100 25 times. And if I convert that to an improper fraction, 25 times 2 will be 50, 50 plus 4 would be 64. Okay, did I do something? Oh, this should be 2.54. I think my mistake. Okay. And there is a big mistake that I made here. So let me go back and do this over. In this case here, we're not going to be able to divide by 4. We need to divide by 2. That's the largest number that goes into 54 and 100. Will have to be 2. So 2 goes into 54 27 times. And we bring that 2 over. 2 goes into 54 27 times. 2 goes into 150 times. All right. And if I do 50 times 2, that's 100 plus 27. That would be 127 over 50. That's what we're looking for in this case here. So it'll be 127 over 50 for the reduced fraction. And it'll be an improper fraction, by the way. All right, number 10. We got 13/4. We want to express this fraction as a decimal and as a percentage. Let's see, 13/4. would just be 13 divided by 4. That would give us the decimal. That would be 3.25. Now for the 13/4 as a percent, we're going to multiply by 100. Now, if you want to, you can just go ahead and do this in the calculator. You got 13 divided by 4, then multiply by 100. That will give you the percent, 325%. Okay. All right. So part A dealt with percentages. Part B is going to deal with this. What is a ratio? Part B deals with what is a ratio, or part 2, I should say. Now, suppose we want to compare two quantities, such as the prices of a BMW that costs $80,000 and a Honda that costs $20,000. We can, of course, find the absolute or relative difference in the quantities, but another way to make the comparison is to compute the ratio of the two quantities. In this case, the two quantities are $80,000 and $20,000. So their ratio is going to be this: 80,000 divided by 20,000, reduce that to 4/1, which will be 4. Notice the cancellation of the unit dollars on the top and the bottom of the fraction. This is a general characteristic of ratios because comparisons make sense only when we compare quantities with the same units. Ratios always end up without units. Also note that we can state this result in several equivalent ways. One of them would be this: the ratio of the BMW to the Honda price is 4:1. The ratio can also be stated as 4, but 4:1 is more common. Another way would be saying that the BMW price is 4 times the price of the Honda. Also, another way would be the ratio of the Honda price to the BMW price is 1:4, which we can also state as 1/4 or 0.25 or 25%. Here's an example. Earth's average density is about 5.5 grams per cubic centimeter, and the average density of Saturn is about 0.7 grams per cubic centimeter. What is the ratio of their densities? So all we do there is just divide Earth's density by Saturn's density. The density of the Earth is 5.5 grams per cubic centimeter. Saturn's density is 0.7 grams per cubic centimeter. You're going to see these units divide out. So all you do there is just do 5.5 divided by 0.7. You'll get approximately 8. So the ratio of Earth's average density to Saturn's average density is about 8:1. Alternatively, we can say that Earth's density is about 8 times that of Saturn, or that Saturn's density is about 1/8 that of Earth. Okay, again, notice that the units grams per cubic centimeter divides out. You're left with just a ratio without units. So in these last 3 examples here in this video deal with just ratios. So number 11 is this: compare A and B in 3 different ways, where A is 51,579. That's the number of deaths due to a deadly disease in the United States in 2005, and B equal to 17,139. That's the number of deaths due to the same disease in the United States in 2009. So in part A, we want to find the ratio of A to B. And the way I'm going to write this as a fraction, A over B, because ratios can be written in the form of a fraction. So in this case here, that A was 51,000 579 divided by B, which was 17,139. And I think they want that answer to one decimal place. Yeah, actually 2 decimal places, I should say. So 51,579 divided by 17,139. I'm sorry. 51,579 divided by 17,139. All right, to 2 decimal place, that would be 3.0. This 9 would increase the second 0 to a 1. Okay, so it'd be 3.01 for part A. Part B is this: find the ratio of B to A. So if I was to write that as a fraction, it would be B over A. So actually, in this case here, it's just a reciprocal of part A, 17,139 divided by 51,579. And to 2 decimal place, that would be 0.33. Okay. Now in part C, complete the sentence where A is what percent of B? A is what percent of B? Well, we found the ratio of A to B, which is 3.01. So now they want the percent. What we will do is just take 3.01, divide that by 100%. We'll get 301. But actually, since we already have the percent, they just want the number, 301. So A is 301% of B. All right, number 12. Here, A is going to be 1.1 million. That's going to be the population 2012 of city X. B is 2.6 million, being the population in 2012 of city Y. So we want to find the ratio of A to B. That'd be A over B, if we write it as a fraction. A is 1.1 million over B, which is 2.6 million. Now you're going to see the units divide out, the millions divide out. So if I do 1.6 divided by 2.6, and in this case, the 2 decimal places, I think I did that wrong. From A to B. Well, A is 1.1 billion. B is 2.6 million. Oh, I see. I entered it wrong. 1.1 divided by 2.6. So it'll be 0.42 to 2 decimal places. Okay. So the 2 decimal places will be 0.42. All right. Now part B, find the ratio of B to A. So it's B over A this time. So now your 2.6 million will be in the numerator, divided by 1.1 million in the denominator. And again, the millions divide out. So all I need to do there is just 2.6 divided by 1.1. So it'd be 2.36. rounded to 2 decimal places. That would be the ratio of B to A. Part C is to complete the sentence. A is blank percent of B. Well, we found that in part A, for A to B is 0.42. So to change that to a percent, we just multiply by 100 and include the percent sign. So 0.42 times 100 would just be 42. Now, we don't include the percent sign in our answer. We just say that A is just enter the number 42. And if I go back up here, I can just say 301%. So in number 12, part C, A is 42% of B. All right, and finally, number 13. Here we got A is equal to 1.82 million. That's the 2012 daily circulation of a newspaper. X. B is 2.25 million. That's the 2012 daily circulation of newspaper Y. And we want to compare A and B in 3 ways. Find the ratio of A to B. And the A is at 1.82 million. Divided by B, which was 2.25 million. And in this case, the millions divide out. So all we do there is 1.82 million. Well, just 1.82 divided by 2.25. This will give me, to 2 decimal places, I would say 0.81. So the ratio of A to B will be 0.81. And the B part would be finding the ratio of B to A. Well, it's just a reciprocal, 2.5 million divided by 1.82 million. So in this case, here, millions divide out, 2.25 divided by 1.82. To 2 decimal places, it'll be 1.24. So the ratio of B to A will be 1.24. And then finally, A is what percent of B? Well, for A to B, that was that 0.81. So we're going to multiply that by 100% to change it to a percent. So it'd be 81%. So to answer that question there, A is 81% of B. Okay, so that does conclude this review video for section 3A dealing with percents for part 1 and ratios for part 2. They both coincide with section 3A dealing with the uses and abuses percentages. Contact me if you have any questions about any of these problems that were presented in this video.